Park, and it's an excellent example of secondary succession. Succession is the replacement of organisms in an area by other organisms. This is an excellent example of secondary because you'll notice that the conifers are starting to move in. So the spruces and the lodgepole pines are starting to move into this area. This area was cleared out originally for a homestead some time ago, and the forest is basically reclaiming it. So you can have different stages. Early, you have grasses move in, then you have shrubs, and then you have the trees such as poplar, trembling aspens move in this area anyway. Here's a very good example of poplar stand. And if we pull back, you'll see that it's just on the edge of some secondary succession. So the poplars are moving in and then providing a habitat for other species to move in. We call that a climax stage because once the large spruces you can see way over there, they're in and they're quite large. Once they're in, then it's a climax stage. And in a climax stage, it's very hard for other organisms to move in unless there's a disturbance. And usually that disturbance is a forest fire in this area. So you get the idea. Well, we're in this more of a, we're moving into the conifers now. It's much more of a different ecosystem and habitat than just a bit to the east where there was the farmer's field. So this is getting close to the climax of this type of area. And you'll even get secondary succession when a large tree like that one there falls down. And it'll just allow for herb-layer species and shrubs, grasses to grow. Now you see we're opening up. As coisas aqui vão mudar, não vão mudar, não. As coisas aqui só vão mudar. As coisas aqui vão mudar, não vão mudar, não. As coisas aqui. You get primary succession like from a meteor strike when everything's burned right down to the rock, and or from a sandy beach. The beach itself, that's all sand. Rock, like maybe high up in altitude, where there's just bare rock. There's no organic material, and when it moves into there, it's usually in the form of lichens and mosses that break down the rock, release the nutrients from the rock, and so it can enter and other animals or organisms can use it. So secondary succession is from here, this stage, where you're basically going from grass and shrubs right into a forest. And there's different stages of forest. Different species occupy each stage, and also different animals like different stages. Whereas primary succession is actually starting from barren rock, much like you'd get from a, not so much a fire, but like if it's a new volcanic island that's just risen, and then you have lichen breaking down the rock, which takes much longer time. So that's succession, stages in life. Thank you very much. Oh, the other thing we forgot is fire suppression. We've been suppressing fires in a lot of areas for about 100 years. And because of that, what happens is you end up with a lot of litter layer built up in a forest. And I'll do some shots in the forest later on to help you with that. With a lot of litter layer, it just means there's a lot of fuel for the fire. And as a consequence, you have a very hot fire. A very hot fire means that the forest is shunted back to an earlier stage in succession. Really bad stages mean you go back, essentially, back to grasses and shrub stage with very few trees. There's benefits to that, there's liabilities to that, but typically in a forest around here, if there's no fire suppression, it just goes back to early tree stage. Yeah, so there.